Hey, Hilary. Nice to finally meet you. We've been emailing for quite a while.
Yes, we have. Thank you so much, Shannon, for letting me be on your show.
The pleasure's mine. Tell me, Hilary, what's your relationship with the water?
Well, it goes really deep, right? I didn't really have a relationship with the water when I first started. When I first started, I thought I knew how to swim. I signed up for a triathlon and, it said swimming was part of it, right? I really literally didn't know anything about any of this. This was so all brand new to me. So, anyways, I jump in my local rec pool and I can't even swim 25 yards without throwing up. I mean,
Oh,
it was
goodness.
terrible, terrible.
Wow.
So, and I had hired a coach to help me with my first triathlon. And the coach was like, he was, I literally, I mean, it was ridiculous. He says to me, I want you to swim 1,600 yards. And I said, how can I swim 1,600 yards when I can't even get across the pool? So he says to me, well, join a master swim course. And he recommended one out on the island, about an hour away from where I lived at the time. And I joined this group and, I'm seeing these swimmers and they're just killing it in the water. Like there's a lot of water, a lot of splashing, a lot of everything going on. And he puts me in lane one and he says, okay, go ahead. Let me see. Let me see what you got. And again, I couldn't make it across the pool. So he said to me, so he actually literally jumped in the water with me now. Let me take it back. I hope he doesn't listen to this. He'll get so embarrassed. But he's a really good looking guy. Okay. And he's at least 20 years younger than me. I started triathlon. I started swimming when I was 53.
Good for you.
Now I knew how to float and I knew how to doggy paddle, but that was my relationship at the time to the water. So anyway, he jumped in the water with me and we're blowing bubbles together and it was really super embarrassing because, all these like jocks are, on the other side of the pool, just, killing it. But anyway,
What a generous coach to do that, though.
yes,
That's amazing.
yes. Long and short of it, he said to me, he said, do you have like sinus issues? I said, yes, I do.
Mm.
He said, why don't you try getting nose plugs? I have a good feeling about this. So I did. And I went out and I bought these nose plugs. I mean, and I felt like a complete fool wearing them, but they actually worked for me. And I was soon able to, I kind of caught on pretty quickly how to actually, do the strokes and all that. Like it just, for some reason, it clicked. Like some people, it takes a little bit, but for me, it just clicked. And and fast forward, I mean, this past summer, I did the 8.2-mile Mackinac Island swim in
Awesome.
Michigan,
Hmm.
which was incredible. But getting back to your original question, my relationship with the water, I feel like this might sound like a little bit weird, but I feel like when I'm swimming in the open water, and I absolutely love the open water, much more so than the pool. I mean, I go to the pool. I have to go to the pool. It's important, but there's something special about the open water. And when I'm swimming and the sun is rising, and I could see in my peripheral vision that sun shining into the water, and when I take a breath, it almost looks like a rainbow is coming out from my arm. And I'm thinking to myself, that I actually feel beautiful in the water. I know this
Yeah.
sounds a little weird, but I really do. Like I have this, it's just to me feels so natural and so just incredible. The feeling that I get when I'm in the water. is just really special, you know.
Yeah. I had one of my guests, I think it was over a year ago now, she mentioned, I think she phrased it as like being ageless. Like the water makes us ageless. And I just love that. Just like that, where it connects us to our past and our future and our present. And I think about that when I'm doing really long swims sometimes, just like that, just this continuum, like everything's just, I don't know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the beauty of it too. And like the sun on your back, there's so many amazing things.
So many amazing things. And it also, like running or, I mean, I think more so, I don't know why I compare it to running a little bit, but with running, you work things out, right? When you're
Mm-hmm.
swimming, it's the same type of thing where you're working out issues or problems or things that happened to you in your past. Like, I mean, my mother had passed away and my dad, I was taking care of my dad and he got Alzheimer's disease.
Mm.
And he eventually, it was during COVID, it was terrible. It was during COVID. It was like a mess. And I couldn't see him and he wouldn't move up north. He insisted on staying in Florida. And so I eventually got him into like a group home. And I went to, when I can finally visit him, during that crazy time in our lives, I said, I was talking to him. I mean, he was a little bit he was a lot out of it at that point, but he said to me, I went swimming and I swam this whole canal this morning, right? Like it's all in his head that he's
Wow.
believing this, that
Mm-hmm.
that he was swimming. And he did love the water. He loved, I mean, he wasn't a swimmer, but he just loved being in the water. And so I think about that from time to time. I think about how he loved the water. And I did this other swim this year. In addition to the Mackinac Island swim, I did a 5.5-mile swim across the Great South Bay. It was from, I don't know if you know this one,
Yeah.
it's Maggie Fisher. And it basically goes from Fire Island to Bayshore. And you go across, I mean, it's the Great South Bay, but it's the ocean. I mean, it's all feeding from the ocean and
Mm-hmm.
you're getting currents. It's not like, oh, this is, an easy.
There's a lot of people in that one too, right? So there's a lot of people around you.
I think they cap it at like 100, 125, something like that. It's not that bad, but it is timed. Like if you don't make it in within 4 hours, you're done. And, so this was the second time I had done it. The first time is actually a good story. I'll tell you
I
about
want to
that
hear that
too.
story too. Yeah.
This one, it was actually on my dad's birthday.
Oh
Hey,
my
he had
gosh.
passed away
Mm.
like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I dedicated this swim to him. And it was fantastic. I mean, it really was fantastic, although I did get very, very sick
Oh
afterwards
no.
because
Oh.
the bacteria in the water
Oh
I mean, it
no.
just totally wiped me out.
Oh.
But I made it in within the time. I think I did it in like 3 hours and 45 minutes. The time before I did this swim right after COVID. It was like around the time of COVID. And I had heard about this swim. A lot of people talk about this swim. It's like it's a big swim on Long Island in particular. And basically, they try to raise money for hospice. And the woman who it's named after, Maggie Fisher, she passed away when she was a teenager. So her parents actually run this race, and it's like it's very homegrown and just a really special race.
Very cool.
So, anyways, I had heard about this race. I always wanted to do it. So I recruit my son to be the kayaker. Okay. Now, you know, I later learned you really need to, get somebody experienced in there. Like not having an experienced kayaker is not a good idea.
Tough learning, but yeah, but very true.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so what happened was, we're swimming about a mile in, I'm feeling really good, 2 miles, I'm feeling really good. I'm like, and now the waves are coming. Like it's, they're pretty high. I can't see over them. I look over at my son and I said, are there people around or are we like the only ones out? I mean, it felt like we were the only ones out there. Like I didn't see anybody. And he says, oh yeah, there's plenty of people. I'm like, okay. And I'm just following him. And we end up being so taken off course to the point where I was over a mile away from the course
Oh, wow.
that the volunteers and they came
Like really went, yeah.
to us and said, you're really far off course. My son is like, Ma, you want to gel now? He's trying to like trying to feed me. And the
Yeah.
guy's like, you're really off course. You really need to he needs to do something about this. So he says, follow me. And, I start following him and then I start following my son. And the guy, turns around. He's like, wait, stop. Don't follow your son. Follow me. And, I mean, they actually let me finish that race.
Oh,
I
wow.
did that in 4 hours and 15 minutes. I was shocked that they let me finish, which was amazing that they let me finish. But they did. They usually just cut people right off. But I think that they saw that I was, I was swimming fine and, I was just off course and
Yeah.
they were really gracious about it. But it's just watching my son though, with the
Was he just
kayak.
having a good time out there, just
He
watching
was
the
having
birds and
such
yeah.
he was having, he's a little ADD,
Mm.
so he's like, oh, he's going
Yeah, there's
along,
people over
on
there.
the
We're fine.
no problem. And he kept smiling at me.
That's
Shannon,
adorable.
it was the best. It was unbelievable. Just seeing him smile and looking so proud of me.
Aw, that's great. So, tell us how you got from the coach getting in to you the first time you show up at master's practice and the coach gets in and helps you and guides you toward a nose plug. How did you get from that moment to this 5.5 mile swim?
Crazy,
That's a
right?
that's a big that's
Crazy.
a big
It's
jump.
a big jump. It was slow. But I guess in retrospect, it was probably faster than many people, because I know a lot of people struggle with their
Yeah. Well, you
stroke
said you
and
you picked it up quick, right?
it was just weird that I was able to pick it up. I mean, maybe, it was all that those times when they used to throw me in the open water when I was in camp, with a cold lake and I'm, doggy paddling. I mean,
So you had some connection.
yeah, it wasn't like it was the first time I was ever in the water. I mean, I knew how to doggy paddle. I knew how to float. Um, I, I sort of knew how the breaststroke a
Yeah.
little bit. Like I just never wanted to put my face in the water. That
Mm-hmm.
was like a big fear for me.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
once I overcame that, it was gradual. Like I started to be able to do, 200 and then 400 and so on and so on. Um, my first open water swim was a mile swim. Oh my God, was I so scared about this? And it was in the
Was
ocean.
this in the middle of your triathlon journey or was it outside?
It was in
Yeah.
the middle.
Okay. Okay.
So, I mean, my whole triathlon journey started at 53. And, I just started to love the water. Like, everybody, when you go to a triathlon, everybody's like, oh my God, we've got to get through this first part, and then it's like the rest is easy. And me, I'm like, oh, this is like the fun part,
Yeah.
and then the rest is hard,
Right.
you know.
Take us to that 1 mile swim you were telling us.
Oh yeah, so it was in the ocean in Fire Island. We had to take a ferry out there, and the water was very rough and very cold. I wore a wetsuit. There were some people that didn't. There were people taken out of the water because they were getting hypothermia. I
Mm.
mean, it was like I think it was like high 50s, the water kind of more like San Francisco. It it was
Yeah.
chilly.
Yeah.
But I remember just getting through that. I mean, I'm bouncing I mean, the waves are going up and down, and I'm loving this. Like, absolutely. Like, it was funny because I was so scared that, oh my God, how can I do a mile? And then I get in and I was bouncing all over, and it was funny because I kept, people kept stopping, like the lifeguards and stuff. I mean, they were nervous. It was a lot of people were being taken out,
Hmm.
and they said to me, are you okay? Are you good? I'm good. I just kept going. And I kept thinking about, like my mom and, it's funny how like you think about like things,
Yeah.
that happen in
Yeah.
your life. And she struggled so much with her life. She was a polio survivor, and she just had like such major medical issues, and she could never do any of this stuff. I mean,
Wow.
she just, by the end of her life, she was in a wheelchair full time. She was on oxygen full time.
Wow.
It was bad. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, I'm doing this for her. I'm doing this because she struggled so much, and I want to just push through this because this is so hard, and I'm going to get this done. And I did. I got it done, and that was really like a major accomplishment for me.
Yeah. Well, I heard you say too, though, that you had fun when you were bouncing around. And that's a special kind of person that loves the wind and waves. So.
Oh my God. I know. And it was funny because after that, there were so many of these races that were so choppy where you're
Hmm.
like, I mean, Maggie Fisher was a good example, but
Hmm.
even before Maggie Fisher, like there were so many of these events that were so choppy and rough, and the rougher the better. I was like, yay,
That's awesome.
let's
Yeah,
go.
that's great. Is that kind of mirror your attitude in life about kind of when things get tough? Do you find yourself like, let's go and just kind of buckling down and figuring out what to do?
Yeah, I do find that I do that. Like, at first I'm like, oh, why is this happening to me? And then I like, okay, let me just tackle it. It's something that I think in your life, when you have like a lot of obstacles your way, that go your way, like you're put down. I mean, I felt like, I'm telling you about my school, and I always felt like I was put down,
Yeah.
like I was never good enough. And I feel like my mom unfortunately felt the same. I mean, she didn't feel good about herself.
Hmm.
She was always sick. She was, and so she always, it was always like, oh, everybody, is better than us. They have more money. But my dad and my mom, they worked like, my father worked like 3 jobs. My mom worked 2 jobs. I mean, it was like crazy,
Hmm.
but they did it for the family. And, so, I felt like, yeah, a good example of this is, I wanted so bad, those like, high school jackets,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah, I
Hmm.
wanted one so bad. I wanted one with my name on it, and it said Long Beach. I'm from Long Beach, Long Island.
Hmm.
And, so it said Long Beach High School on the back of it, and everybody had one, and I wanted one. And my mom was like, look, we can't afford that. There's no way you're getting one. So she said, if you want one, you'll have to get a job and work and, make the money and buy one for yourself. So that's what I did. I worked. I, I don't remember a time when I didn't work.
Yeah.
It's like now I'm starting to wind down a little bit,
Hmm.
but there's never been a time in my life where I didn't work. And so I worked, and I, raised enough money to buy this jacket. I buy this jacket. And of course, it comes back. I don't know why my mother didn't. help advocate for me. But at the time, it comes back with my name spelt wrong.
Oh
It was
no.
two L's instead of
Hmm.
one. And she's like, just keep it. It's fine and no big deal. But it kind of was a big deal.
Yeah, yeah,
Like if
yeah.
that happened to my kid, I'd be like, no, you're taking this back. I want another one and done. But she always felt that way. And so I had a very low self-esteem myself, but I think that also attributed it to like the tough stuff. Like, I ended up, working myself full time while going to school, and I got my degree in, public relations, my BA. And then I went back to school and got my master's degree. And during that whole time, I worked full time and went to school either at night or, so I didn't do that like traditional school like everybody else did. And I think that and then I started my own business. I was 30, like 30, 31 when I
Wow.
started my own business. And I had that business until this past year. I closed
Wow.
it down. So I was in business for like 33 years. And it was so hard being in business, but that you kind of nailed it because that toughness made me even pursue it even more. Like there was just no way that I was going to fail. I was going to just do it. I was going to, be able to accomplish something.
Yeah.
I guess you're right. That's how I approach swimming.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the water is an interesting mirror for kind of I guess I noticed it with the swimmers I coach. It's like when they'll find that they're trying to control something and we just kind of have to let go a little in the water. The more we try to control, the more tension we hold. None of that serves us in the water. So a lot of times I'll be coaching someone and they'll just kind of be laughing to themselves because they're realizing that what I'm asking them to do as a coach is like what they're like, oh gosh, this is exactly what's happening in my life right now. So it's just interesting. That's why I brought it up. But
Yeah, that's
yeah.
something.
Yeah, yeah. Tell us a little about well, I know that I want to hear about your upcoming book, and I know you have another book that you wrote as well. Um, but a little bit of like, so what kind of inspired you to do this first sign up for this first triathlon in the first place that got you into the swimming and the biking and the running?
Yeah, so basically, what happened was I started to run at age 48. Okay. And I met a woman who she was wonderful. She wanted me to run with her. And we started running together on the Long Beach Boardwalk. And one day, I mean, I was really a beginner runner. And one day she said to me, let's sign up for a half marathon. And that was kind of like the start of this whole journey, which was crazy. It's almost like, I'm starting to do a triathlon and let's sign up for an Ironman.
Yeah.
It's like you just, there's
Some
steps,
people
right?
do that. I've
They
met
do.
a few
Oh,
people
a
that do
lot of
that. Yeah.
people do it. I like to do the steps. Anyway, so we started to take like all these runcations together. And at one point, I guess it was, back in like 2014, she said to me, we were both running the Brooklyn half. And she said to me, you know what? I'm done with this. Like, I don't want to do any of these long distance races anymore. I'm so done. My back hurts. And I said to her, oh, let's try a triathlon. I mean, it was so crazy that I said this because I had just been in Sanibel, Florida I was one of the original Google Glass Explorers.
Mm.
That's like the augmented reality glasses.
Hmm.
So I had said, and when I was there, I was taking pictures and video of the area in Sanibel and Fort Myers. And I loved it. And the tourism director said to me, you know what? Why don't you come back and do a triathlon? You're a runner. Like, I was kind of like a pseudo runner. I always like felt like I was not athletic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so I did that race and that's the race that I told my friend about. And she was like, okay, we'll do it. I mean, it was crazy. We schlepped down to Florida. Like, we rented bikes. It was the whole thing was just a disaster. But doing that race, and that was also a choppy race. Oh my God, was that choppy in the sound?
Oh,
The what is not the sound? What is that called on the West Coast?
the
I forget.
Gulf.
The Gulf.
Yeah.
Yes. So the Gulf was very choppy.
What was that distances of that first
Oh,
triathlon?
it was. I think it was like a 750 meter. I think it was like 750 meters. So it was about a half a mile swim. And it was very choppy, but I was pretty quick in the water, which was crazy. And I got out and I finished the race. And when I finished the race and I crossed the finish line, I have never been so excited in my entire life. Like that was just like such joy. And that's really how it all started. And I started a blog back in the day. Like I guess I started when I was 48. It started as a runner's diary.
Hmm.
And I like documented everything that I had done, like the first race and all this kind of stuff. And then I shifted it to a triathlete's diary.
Hmm.
And so so what happened was at some point my web developer, he said to me, Hilary, you've got way too much content on this blog. You've got to take some of this stuff off. So I start going through it and I start collecting all these stories and I'm like, oh my God, I think there's a book here.
Wow, cool.
So that was my very first endurance book. It was called From Couch Potato to Endurance Athlete, a portrait of a non-athletic triathlete. And so that came out in 2022. And then, that basically is my story, my whole, story with getting into triathlons, learning to swim, all of that. It's all in that book. And then I added a lot of personal stuff to the book, like stuff that in a way it was like really hard for me to share because I was like,
It's vulnerable. Yeah.
it's very vulnerable. But this book, Unlocking the Triathlon, right? This is the beginner's guide to competing in a triathlon. This book, I felt when I first started, I bought all these books, Joel Friel and all these like famous author books, on triathlon training. And I honestly felt like the stuff was over my head. Like it was just, I don't know, the zones and trying to figure out everything. And everything seemed like mathematical. It just was so over my head. And I said, you know what? This is really what I really want to do is I want to write a book that's simple and easy and, you know, written for anybody and everybody. And I talk a lot about like, how it's so diverse. Triathlon swimming is like that too, where, every body type is in the water, which
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
awesome.
Hmm.
So that's basically, why I wrote this book. And it just takes you through everything from swim, bike, run, nutrition, hydration, supplements. I have training plans. Everything's in here. I literally did not know that this book was going to be so thick.
How many pages did it end up being?
It's like almost 400 pages. Yeah,
Wow.
it's about
Yeah.
350. I mean, it has, pictures in it, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. No, that's substantial though.
But what's nice about it also is that I interviewed a bunch of people for their first time stories, like
Nice.
Gwen Gergensen. I mean, Julie Moss that writes the intro, and I've got some professionals, I've got some age groupers. I even like have people from the Pathetic Triathlete group.
Yeah. Yeah.
They wrote like different things for it. So it's really kind of funny, but it's good because it really teaches you what not to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm working on right now It's at the publisher. A book. It's going to be, I think it's going to be the same title, I think it's going to be Unlocking the Open Water. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a book for, I guess triathletes or very new swimmers or pool swimmers who are really nervous about going in the open water
Mm-hmm.
and, kind of how to relax and enjoy it and
Yeah.
just love it like I do. Like I want to just try to get people to love it as much as I do because it's special.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's a lot. I feel like a lot of what we need right now in our tech crazed world to have those times, those reasons to go. And even if you have the gumption to leave your technology behind and just go and feel the sun on your back as you
It's
and
a
the
freedom.
rainbow under your arm, as you stroke and to just be present. Like that's the gift of the waters. It forces us that if we allow it, because there's people who insist that they're well, and it's easy to get overwhelmed and think of all the things you have to do, and you like you said, even like you think a lot when you're swimming, but part of the reason that those connections happen is because the force presence, like of being surrounded and not having your phone beeping and what have you. I'm sure there's somebody who brings their phone with them and checks it while they swim, but yeah. um yeah, but that's a great offering, so thanks for putting that together.
Yeah, I really just hope it helps a lot of people. And I hope this book as well helps a lot of people. I mean, even with the open water, I have I have like a whole bookcase of open water books,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing that really is like concrete like this book for open water. And that's why I pitched my publisher on it because I just, look, I mean, in all fairness, like you don't make money from books,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think I make like $2 on every book. I mean, it's not like it's a lot, but I'm doing it because I want to help people like I want to help people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and in our information age too. Like it's nice that for people to have resources out there that are accessible, and you just never know who you might reach and how it might help them. And so that's where I feel like that's the generosity, is to know that you have that ability, that you can put it out there in the world, and that just know that it might help somebody. And there, I guess that just harkening back to the, unlocking the triathlon, there's so many people. Like I have so many triathletes that come to me. I live in kind of a pool desert, so there's not that many swimmers around, and or it feels like I know all the swimmers. And most of the swimmers that come to me for coaching heard about me from somebody, but they will have signed up for their first half Ironman, and they're like, maybe just do a little heads up freestyle from when they were in the lake, at camp when they were young. But now they've got to do a 1.2 mile swim, and they know that cardiovascularly they can probably do it, but they don't know how to build the endurance. So and nonetheless, the bike and the run, which makes me wonder, and some of them will find a triathlon coach that'll help, and I think triathlon coaching can help a lot for the bike and the pieces that are measurable, but it's that experience thing. So your coach that encouraged you to go to a master's team, that was a good tact. But how did you know to get a coach in the first place when you decided to do triathlon?
It was the woman that I ran with, my running buddy. She said to me, if we're signing up for a triathlon, we need to hire a coach.
Mm.
And we ended up going with two separate coaches, and in the process we kind of like, I mean, we weren't together, but we were running buddies. And
Mm-hmm.
then, with her leaving and going to this other coach and getting on a team, and me being with a completely different coach, we kind of went our separate ways, which is unfortunate because we had a lot of really good experiences together. But, yeah, I mean, it's just the way it is. And, did I pick the right coach? Should I've gone with her coach? Maybe, this guy was a little bit, he was a little bit rough. I think he was training me like I was like an Olympian or something like that. And I just am not, I'm like the back of the pack kind of gal. But and then I found another, through the years, I've had other coaches, who have been really supportive. When you have a supportive coach, it makes a somebody just put on like women triathlon or something. Do I really need a coach, or can I just get a program online?
Mm-hmm.
And I, obviously say, yes, you should definitely have a coach, because a coach encourages you.
There's some accountability there. Yeah. And especially, with ChatGPT out there, you can pump out a training program, but nothing says that that's going to support you in the way that you need to be supported. And finding a coach that you connect with, that has the same values as you, that can see your goals and see your potential, is different than probably getting the machine to pump
Absolutely.
out a training plan. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I just started coaching with TriDot, and I 100% agree with you. Like, it's great to use, but if you don't have a coach in collaboration with that,
Mm-hmm.
very difficult, because you need that, like, you need somebody to help you get through some of this stuff. It's just nice to have that.
Well, yeah, because it's not just, we just don't check. I mean, yes, we might check some. I've actually worked with some amazing swimmers who just are great at checking their boxes, but then something will happen. And then it's how you get back on track. What motivates you, how do I motivate you to get on track in a way? And how are the boxes even maybe not serving you? And you need to be looking more broadly than that. So that's where I think the coach really can step in, and it's a relationship, and that's where I think it's important that you're shopping around and finding the coach that you really resonate with. And it is an investment, but it's an investment in a future you that you'll never know until you like dive into it, right?
100% agree.
So where can our listeners find out more about you, Hilary, and get access to your books and things?
I'm on Instagram. I'm at Hilary, Hilary, Topper, Topper. So it's just one word. Actually, you have it on the screen. So you could find me anywhere. I'm also I'm on all the social media.
Mm-hmm.
And the book, Unlocking the Triathlon, The Beginner's Guide to Competing in a Triathlon, is available on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, or if you ask at your local bookstore, you can get a copy.
Awesome. That's great. And you have a great blog, too. Tell us where we can find your blog.
My blog is atriathletesdiary.com. And yeah, so, I love to connect with people. I'm grateful to connect with you, Shannon. And yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your story, Hilary.